round had a couple of very close races, so I'm looking forward to what should be a competitive match this evening.
Certainly, and the object of Dragon Warrior, for those of you just joining us, is for our racers to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They'll need to collect certain key items to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will allow the runners to enter Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest. And quest we are beginning here, it looks like. So the king is giving the instructions, and we shall see in a matter of moments what is in the respective chests to start here. We've got the fighter's ring. That'll add 2 attack power to their total once it's put on. The cursed belt, that's a little bit of a whammy, doesn't really do a whole lot. And the obligatory magic key to get our runners outside of the throne room.
Yeah, on occasion, that cursed belt can be a little bit useful. Sell it for just some, about 180 gold, I think, is the total on that. So depending on whether or not there's a town nearby, that might come in handy. But as you see, the fighter's ring adds 2 strength to what was already a very high starting total of 19 for both racers.
That is good to see. And as you can look here in the overworld, the map is randomized, as are the treasure chest and search spot locations. Also, the town and cave locations, the enemy locations, and their spells and abilities, as the tie-dye guy trying to work on and does take out a scorpion. So we're going to see a quick advancement here to level 2. And just 1 experience away from level 3. Not a whole lot of gains, though, but we do have a spell, trifecta of them. We've got Sleep, Heal More, and Hurt More, all at level 2.
Well, it could be off to the races here a little bit, but bentglasstube running into a poltergeist first thing and discovers, unfortunately, they have the spell of Hurt More.
And just like that, here comes level 3 at 1:40 for the tie-dye guy. Our runners are going to be looking to find a town to perhaps get a little bit of additional items and whatnot as far as weapons and armor. But for the moment, with the Hurt More spell in tow, the tie-dye guy quickly leaping up here to a huge experience lead, or at least a huge level lead, I should say. And now BGT is going to take out a scorpion and get up from level 1 to 3 in 1 fell swoop.
So off to a pretty quick start here, given those statistics and the spells they've acquired so far. But they do have relatively low HP, and there's a lot of swamp around. Oh, so you find Druids have Hurt More spell as well.
And that is going to be the first death for the tie-dye guy here, as BGT going to save the game and seize those glorious spells and is going to utilize them. A lot of attack power, not much in terms of defense, as you can see, as far as the defensive totals, as well as in BGT's case, the agility being in the red. That's a little subpar to get things started here, as now comes level 4 for BGT. And inside the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, we have a magic key. Wow.
And, the tie-dye guy is going to take full advantage of that going in not only the first time, but he's going to go back at least for 1 more. And that can be definitely advantageous if this early in the game. Be able to access the Tangential Treasury as well as perhaps some other locations.
A guy using what is known as a ghetto grind, in a sense, just continuing to acquire, in this case, keys, and do so at a rapid pace here. So that right off the bat is 3 keys, and debating on a 4th, but opting not to here, as that cave is just north of Tangential Castle. So that access to the keys will allow for more opportunities to access other treasure chests, which may have some great things, including some big bucks. Also, another magic key. Light the way in caves. And a set of wings, which works like the return spell. We'll get our runners back voluntarily to Tangential Castle.
So the tie-dye guy here going to spend some of that gold he picked up from the treasury to refill his keys, and I think bentglasstube also found the Stones of Sunlight Cave, pardon me, and has picked up a key for himself as well.
We'll see. Well, BGT not going for the same strategy and just takes the one key and gets ambushed by a Drakema. Going to use the hurt spell, why not? You've got 33 magic points, and in the basement of Tangential Castle is the Staff of Rain Cave. So our runners will be looking for the Silver Harp, and they will trade that into that cave in the back of Tangential Castle to acquire the Staff of Rain, one of 3 items that are needed to access the Rainbow Drop. And now here comes BGT getting level 5. Wow, 18 response speed. It's going to help beef up the defense a little bit. Mr. Spokes asking the Jerk Cave. Now, that is a different cave. The cave where you would trade in all the items for the Rainbow Drop. That is, that is known as the Jerk Cave, because if you don't have Erdrick's token, he will literally kick you out of the cave. But that is yet to be found by our runners. The Staff of Rain Cave, we're just looking for the Silver Harp to trade in for that aforementioned staff. Oh, and BGT trying to take out that green dragon.
Even got the max heal more, pardon me, the max hurt more, but it didn't quite do the job.
Blue dragon taking out the tie-dye guy. You die and go back to the castle, you get revived, but at the cost of half of your gold. That guy heading back to the north is now BGT going to go and get the items out of the treasury, including that bonus key and some money. As the tie-dye guy taking out a warlock, and he's going to go to level 5.
So the tie-dye guy choosing to go northwest here of that initial swamp, and unfortunately he's run straight into a red dragon.
McGrew, the fighter's ring was in the throne room. This ring, the cursed belt, and the obligatory magic key. Is a death on the tie-dye guy's side.
So the going can be a little bit slow here with a lot of swamp around. They do at least have healing available to them, but with the low hit points, it's difficult if they run into some mid-level or late game sort of monsters. You can just kind of send them back to the start in one shot.
So now the exploration in combination with the trying to level up a bit here. And speaking of which, BGT now getting to level 6, 10 response speed, and another new spell here. And it's Radiant.
Yeah, you saw the difference there. That was another encounter with a green dragon for BGT, and that time it wasn't quite a max hurt more, but it still was enough damage to take it out on that occasion. And unfortunately missing with the hurt more on an Axe Knight.
Just that quickly is the 6th death for BGT in the first 9 minutes of the race here. 6, although a noted experience advantage for BGT.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job getting out there and extending himself. When you have hurt more this early in a seed, you really do kind of want to try to go after some of those high-value targets. It's just that he's gotten rather unlucky with a couple of those rolls.
But still utilizing that hurt more to an advantageous position and trying to take on some of those mid to upper level enemies that will get you triple-digit experience at the go here. And this will leave BGT just shy of the experience needed for level 7.
And they're in ambush,
Ooh.
so just not much good fortune for him finding those good targets in the early going.
Lots of swamp as well. Quite a bit explored here, as we are only 10 minutes into the seed, and we've already gotten the contents in Tanagal Treasury, as well as the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave that had the magic key that allowed the search to go, as an Armored Knight hitting as hard as an AK-47, and that's why it's known in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community as the AK-47, and sending the tie-dye guy back to the start.
So the exploration hasn't gone especially well. There's been a lot of swamp around. The tie-dye guy just a minute or two ago was in a situation where he had to kind of map out a peninsula and found it to be only swamp and just decided that short on resources to take that death. But here we have BGT finding Cantlin.
Cantlin, the proverbial shopping mall of Alifgard, as there are 3 different weapon and armor shops, and well, depending on how much there is in terms of resources, you could theoretically access... So let's take a look here. So we've got a broadsword, we've got clothes, we've got a chainmail, half plate, and magic armor. And we've got level 7 on the tie-dye guy's side.
Still not much HP to speak of. 27 is a very low value at level 7.
Ooh, and the Wraith Knight with an ambush wrecking of the tie-dye guy.
And that's part of the reason why that HP score can be so troublesome. You do have that big Hurtmore spell, but if you get ambushed far afield, a lot of those enemies, especially since they have no armor yet, defensive 19, they're really just going to take you out one hit.
Like BGT is going to attempt to acquire the coordinates from the old man. We'll let you know if there is an item that is searchable in the overworld. Oh, but is thinking better of it. Realizing that every step will require a heal spell, as each step on that barrier tile reduces 15 hit points. And we see here a copper sword, flame sword, broadsword, small shield, and silver shield.
So all of that late game equipment that you might want to try to gold grind for is available here in Cantlin in just the upper shop and the lower shop.
And Weejuy noting in chat that making it to the old man in the bottom of Cantlin with just 26 hit points might set a record.
Yeah, that would be pretty tough. Only 38 MP, needs 8 HP, or pardon me, 8 MP for heal more. If you have the heal spell, might be a possibility, but just not enough resources at this point.
Definitely a point of no return, so you would have to essentially death warp back.
There's some more
small
magic
shield
points.
purchase.
So
The spell of return that was acquired at level 7.
BGT, I don't believe, got any armor in Cantlin.
And decides to double back and get it. indecision on the tie-dye guy's part as far as the copper sword. And the tie-dye guy is looking to stock up on herbs, and McGrew in chat thinking that this might be the play to try to find out what those coordinates are. Now, if there are coordinates, it can be one of 3 different items that are available on the overworld. Either the fairy flute, which can be used to put the golem to sleep, the golem one of the tougher enemies in the game, or it could be Erdrick's token, which is one of the 3 essential items needed, or it could be Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game.
I think he might have thought better of it there.
Perhaps just a little ambitious on that decision and opting to hold off, and maybe after another level or 2 might reconsider. The tie-dye guy debating and opting to run from the gold man. JJ Schmidt asking, no key? No, it's a matter of no limited hit points, I should say. With only 27 hit points, every step they would have to heal. And, I mean, they theoretically could make it out, but I don't believe that they would have enough resources to make it back, as they even do have the Heal More spell. And there is the Red Dragon, known as the Fun
Both
Police.
racers have just taken their most recent death to a Red Dragon. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they decide to kind of pull back a little bit. Like I said, it can be so tempting to try to get out and take out some high-value targets with a Hurt More spell, but they've taken a fair few deaths at this point.
It already a combined 18 deaths between the 2 runners in just under 17 minutes.
And there, the tie-dye guy hitting that green dragon for 60 with Hurt More, but it's not quite enough to take it out.
Dragons in general are just definitely not being friendly this seed.
Monsters, of course, have a certain range in which their HP can be rolled, and depending on the battle, sometimes a full Hurt More will get the job done for some monsters, and sometimes it won't. That green dragon is one example.
Comes level 8, 10 power, 1 response speed, 1 hit point, 14 magic points. Chat noting here,
the tie-dye guy does in fact have a dragon scale.
We're noting in chat 28 hit points at level 8. Ooh, and the blue dragon on the tie-dye guy.
And the red dragon on BGT. This is just so frustrating as a racer to have this kind of an HP total when you really want to go out there and get some quick work done, but you know, there's not really too much to do about it except go out and keep looking for targets.
Are some decent strength gains, so they are able to punch some enemies, and other enemies they're just able to use Hurt More on. BGT is looking more so for those Hurt More strats to try to risk versus reward, try to get some of those upper 2-digit and lower 3-digit experience gains per kill.
Right, and BGT right now, for instance, sitting at around 711 experience. Using, if you can find some more of those wyverns, those would be useful targets.
Easy to one-shot with a Hurt More and gives a nice 64 experience.
There's a Wolf Lord for BGT as well. I think if you can kind of find a zone here where we can find some more of those Wolf Lords and wyverns, those are essentially guaranteed kills with a Hurt More spell, so those would be useful places to maybe grind a couple more levels and see if you can't get an HP bump.
Already 66 magic points at level 8. Interesting of note, the two players having different specific names entered have different builds in this case. Those are the plus signs that you see next to the strength statistic, and in BGT's case, the agility statistic, in datyedyegui's case, the hit point statistic. In that, depending on the first four characters of your name, there are certain advantages that you get to two of your statistics as BGT now enters a cave. We'll get more into that in a moment here.
Yeah, this will be the mountain cave.
There are 5 treasure chests that can be accessed here.
Unfortunately, at least on this dive, BGT is not going to be able to do it, as that armored knight is the first enemy that he encounters.
Something to know for down the road, as the datyedyeguy is going to hit 600 experience and is also going to go up to level 8. Looking to head back on up there, and oh, there's the red dragon for the datyedyeguy.
And BGT again falling victim to an armored knight here before he can even make his way back toward the mountain cave.
While despite the numerous deaths for both of our runners here, about a 300 experience lead for BGT, the datyedyeguy chipping away at that with a metal scorpion. So I'm mentioning those statistics. The first 4 characters in your name are programmed into an algorithm that calculates 2 of your 4 statistics to get a bonus. It can be most commonly the strength and hit points, second most commonly the strength and agility, and then there are also name combinations that can give bonuses to hit points and magic points, as well as agility and magic points. Those are the 2 less common utilizations, as another death here for the datyedyeguy and another one for BGT as well. Yeah, so BGT using the capital L will be able to get bonuses down the road to the strength and agility. So you'll see that the agility will be a little bit higher going forward for BGT than the datyedyeguy, but the datyedyegui's hit points will be higher than BGT's as the levels develop, which, given how low those hit point totals are, may give a slight edge to the datyedyeguy.
Definitely. Usually by this point, though, it's interesting to note, level 8, we're starting to see a little bit of that separation, and the HP totals are just so low that even though they're using different builds, they both still only have 28 HP. Just a quick aesthetic note, the datyedyeguy is using for his sprite the fighter from Dragon Warrior 3, whereas BGT is using the hero from Dragon Warrior 1.
Traditional Loto hero, yes. One of the advantages to, I guess the little fun bonuses, I should say, to Dragon Warrior Randomizer is that you can utilize a bunch of different sprites that are part of it to create a particular seed, as has been done here, including, goodness, for example, the blue dragon taking out BGT here once again. But for example, you can use different characters from Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4. You could play as Princess Gwaelin if you wanted to, and then the character in the princess's spot would in this case be Prince Guimond as opposed to Princess Gwaelin. You can also, there are a number of different characters from Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, as well as characters from the original Final Fantasy game as well.
Yeah, so the datyedyeguy did a little bit of a mini gold grind there, just picking up enough to equip himself a little bit and getting some
like a broadsword and half plate armor. So the broadsword, the third best weapon in the game.
Not specifically a golden grind, I should say. Just picking up some gold from the chest there.
Repel at level 9.
That 1 HP.
Okay. Oh yeah, one hit point gain and 1 hit point left for BGT. And datyedyeguy is gonna make the trek into Cantlin. To go one step at a time.
You'll have just enough HP to get the coordinates here if they exist. 78 north and 43 west.
So that does guarantee that there is an item that can be found in the overworld's location. It's just going to be a little bit to get over to there. Now, our runners theoretically could count out the number of spaces, but are opting... Theoretically, I would imagine they would opt not to, as, having to go 78 paces north from the castle and 43 paces west, they'll more than likely end up rescuing the princess, and once she is returned safely to the castle, she will give you an item in your inventory known as Gwaelin's Love, meaning that you can use that item an unlimited number of times, and she will let you know how many experience you need to get to the next level, and when you're on the overworld, she will also let you know how many paces in the two of the cardinal directions that she is from your location.
Yeah, this would be a really rough count based on the monster zones we've seen so far and their HP totals. Even if that starts to pick up a little bit, I would assume that both of them are going to want to go. If it's an item that they want, they're going to want to go for that, for the princess rescue.
So far as items go, a few places still to look. We have not yet found the town of Garenham. We have not yet found Garen's grave. The mountain cave was found on BGT's side, but an armored knight had taken him out before being able to fully utilize and explore that cave. So the tablet cave and the town of Rimeldar have yet to be accessed as well.
Yeah, so still most of our chests are outstanding. We don't have really any information on them yet, just because it's been too much of a trek to get to a lot of these places.
The datyedyeguy has found the mountain cave. And BGT has found armored knights with the Hurtmore spell. Always goes to show, you think, oh, wow, level 2, heal more and hurt more. All right, this should be a fantastic seat. Slow your roll, not necessarily.
Yeah, it just whenever you get those two big spells up front, it always feels like, okay, here we go. And you're just gonna strap on the rocket skates, but the various circumstances, the low HP, the monsters they've encountered have just put the brakes on that hurry.
Then there's rogue scorpions with sleep and hurt. It's not too bad, but when they do, kind of like what has occurred with the green dragon on bentglasstube's side, doesn't quite work out so well. So we have a torch, we've got a cursed belt.
Oh, but the stones of sunlight at least. So one of our key items found there in the mountain cave.
Get rid of the torch to acquire it. And we'll see if the tie-dye guy can make it to that last chest. Looks to be empty. So an empty chest means that one of two items in the inventory is maxed out at 6, whether that is the magic key or the herb. And there is a death for the tie-dye guy, but that could set up a gold grind glitch. We'll see if the tie-dye guy goes for it here. Now, how that works is chests respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limitations at the time the game was made, the game only tracks up to 8 chests as opened. A small shield, but that was not the case, and I'll explain that more in a moment. So because of the 5 treasure chests that were taken in the mountain cave, and because the tie-dye guy returned to the castle by death and not going to the overworld, in the throne room there are 3 treasure chests, the ones that you normally take in the beginning of the game, that are marked as open so you don't take them over and over again. So now that those 8 have been established, now any chest open beyond that, which at this point you see the tie-dye guy has taken here, is able to be taken over and over again, in this case to acquire between 500 and a little over 750 gold per taking. So that has allowed the tie-dye guy to gain an astronomical amount of gold in a very short time frame to get very powerful equipment such as the flame sword, the second best sword in the game, the full plate or magic armor, 2 of the better armors in the game, as well as the silver shield, which is the best shield in the game.
Yeah, and equipped with the knowledge that all 3 of those items are available for him at the shops in Cantlin, looks like he's going to opt to go for the complete withdrawal here necessary to purchase all of those pieces of equipment.
In order to get all the best equipment money can buy, well, you're looking at 32,300 gold. 9,800 for the flame sword, 7,700 for the magic armor, and 14,800 for the silver shield. The tie-dye guy, I guess, banking on perhaps taking out an enemy on the way to town as being just short 43 gold of the total that we had mentioned. I had a dyslexic moment there, having 33,001, not 31,003. So we are, the tie-dye guy does have enough there, plus with some cash coming back. For some reason I thought it was 33,200, not 32,300. I'll blame it on the couple of hours sleep that I've gotten since yesterday, and have continued to take care of some races here. As now the tie-dye guy just a little bit away from level 9. And the tie-dye guy trying to get up to Cantlin.
And he's gonna make it, so shopping spree time.
There is the magic armor, so that's going to provide a nice defensive boost to the tie-dye guy. 4 defense as opposed to the 16 for the half plate. Sword. An attack, and there is the silver shield, the best shield in the game. That's another 20 defense.
So that's definitely a big boost and a very helpful one. The unfortunate part is that still with that 28 HP, there are a lot of those difficult enemies that have been sending them back to Tangigal with regularity. Can still do enough damage even at that defense level to rack up a one-hit KO.
Now here comes level 10 for BGT. 5, 4, 1, and 6. Additional spells.
So we've broken into the 30s, I guess. Erdrick's armor
Now
for BGT, that will be very helpful.
Yes, so Cole showing Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game, and probably one of the most broken armors in all of RPG history. In that not only does it give you more defense than any other item, as now heading up to level 9 is the tie-dye-guy. Along with that, it also heals. Goodness, it heals 1 hit point per step that you take on the in town or the overworld, or pretty much anywhere. Also, my goodness, it negates the damage done by the hurt and hurt more spells, as well as the Fire Breath and Dragonlord 2 Breath by 1/3. Also completely negates the stop spell, so if an enemy casts stop spell on you, it is guaranteed to not work. There's something else, but there's so many benefits to it, I feel like there's always something that I'm missing.
I always do too. I think, I'm not sure, did you mention the damage tile immunity?
It's the one thing that I missed. So yes, the swamp tiles and the barrier tiles, they no longer do damage as opposed to the 2 and 15 respectively. And Mr. Spokes, Erdrick's armor is in the town of Cole, which was found by bentglasstube. And now it looks like another town. Well, we've already had keys for ages now, so not as exciting, but we can find out what is in the chest item here. Behind the 2 doors.
Yeah, Remulder is usually a fairly high value town to find, but with that early key grind available, 1 at a time from the Stones of Sunlight Cave, that became sort of moot early on, and we know that all the equipment can be purchased in Cantland, so Remulder maybe not quite the destination that it might usually be.
Now, closing in on level 10 is the tie-dye-guy. Hurtmores are able to do it. F3, 1, and 6. About 3 minutes ahead of BGT. 3 minutes behind, I should say, in terms of getting to level 10. And, ooh, Warlocks with heal more. In terms of getting the items... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. We've not actually seen that Warlocks had heal more because they've been using hurt more almost exclusively up until this point.
And BGT has found the town of Hawksness. And opting not to go in. Interesting. Now, Hawksness is an abandoned town that is merely infested with monsters, including a guardian monster that could potentially be guarding, well, at this point, one of 2 different things. Well, technically one of 3. It could either be guarding... or it could be guarding the fairy flute. And I believe since we have seen both of the cursed belts that have been found, it, I believe, confirms that all of these search spots do have something.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
It's because there was a cursed belt in the throne room and 1 in the mountain cave as well. There is a guardian guarding something. Now, the question is it one of the essential items needed in the Erdrick's token, or is it the fairy flute used to put the golem to sleep? And, oh, there is a red dragon.
Really did not want to see that. Hoping for an Axe Knight there, but with this HP level, there's really no chance against one of those red dragons.
We're going to have to find out more than a little later as to what the contents are there. The tie-dye guy able to survive an onslaught from the armored knight and is going to get the benefit of that. Running low on resources, but is only a little over 100 experience away from level 11.
And partly as a benefit of having taken out that armored knight, the tie-dye guy now actually with about a 300 experience point lead all of a sudden.
There is Erdrick's armor for the tie-dye guy. BGT going to take a much easier path to acquire the coordinates, the 78 north and 43 west. So now, this is a tricky decision. Do you work on trying to make yourself powerful enough to take on the red dragon and take that out? Or do you attempt to count out that very lengthy path to the overworld item with the potential that it may be the fairy flute, not what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. The walk is a little bit less difficult now that the swamp is no longer a problem, but I think it would probably be a good idea to try to find some place to pick up a few more levels and just hope that you grab a big HP gain somewhere.
Based on the movements of BGT and perhaps taking some notes, it looks like he is attempting to count out the paces.
So this will be really interesting. Hopefully, it's not going to be... Sorry about that. Hopefully he'll be able to, for his sake, it's not going to be that fairy flute.
A guy going to get the unfortunate news in a matter of moments here. Golem, of course. And that is not going to be the case.
Oh wow, not even going to get to look at the spike tile. Boy, this is just really rough. 42 minutes in, level 10. You start off with these high value spells and just still sitting at 30 hit points.
Mr. Spokes in chat noting that timing is everything, and that just as the tie-dye guy was entering Hawksness, asking if our runners had found Hawksness yet. It's once you hit enter or send, sometimes these things happen, and it's one of those where you wish you could take it back, but sometimes not. And from all that we've seen so far, it looks as though the red dragons just are hitting our runners for quite a bit. But yeah, with only a max of 30 hit points at level 10, it is rather troublesome, as BGT now taking a death to that aforementioned red dragon. Returning to the castle over 20 times at this point, not by choice. Comes level 11. 10 power, 1 speed, 1 hit point again, and 9 MP.
That is, wow, utterly ridiculous. I can't even imagine what it must be like. You think, okay, here we go, another level. This has to be the one, and then another single hit point.
Dewey and Chad noting 1 hit point hype again.
Good grief.
Ooh, and the Armored Knight hitting for 33 and with a max of 31, that's a big ol' nope. The Red Dragon attacking for 39 and a max of 30, that's a big ol' nope. Ever-presence of Armored Knights and Red Dragons have made this seed full of nope, despite our runners getting heal more and hurt more at level 2 just around 2.5 minutes or sooner into this race. Feels like an eternity ago at this point.
It certainly probably feels like an eternity for our racers, certainly.
Both of them are wondering at this point, what is my opponent doing? What did they do that might be more efficient than me here? Have they already found a cave that has Erdrick's sword? Have they already acquired some of the other items?
Yeah, it would be difficult not to feel a little bit behind in either case.
Now level 11 for BGT, and again with that differential in terms of the agility bonus as opposed to the hit point bonus, 0 hit point gain for level 11. Oof, and another red dragon attack.
And there's just, I don't even really know what you can do at this point other than continue to do what they've been doing. We've seen some targets that can be useful to take out with Healmore, such as Magiwyverns and so forth, but only few and far between. We've just seen so many red dragons, armored knights, etc., green dragons. It's it's really tough to try to figure out where you might have to go from here.
The tie-dye guy having a little bit of an advantage in having the higher defense of 75 defensive points. Still, that's not necessarily enough to withstand the attacks of enemies such as the Red Dragon and the Armored Knight. BGT able to use Hurtmore to one-shot a Green Dragon there.
This desert in which both players are currently passing through, we've seen some Warlocks and some Wyverns and some things like that in this region. I wonder if that wouldn't be a place to just settle in a little bit and take some of those out.
Well, a low roll and able to withstand the first attack, but not able to get away from the second attack. And that is another death for the tie-dye guy.
BGT, I think, is at kind of his wit's end at this point. A cursor bouncing around there, not even really sure what to do. And yet another red dragon.
And there it is. Another red dragon attack and defeat.
I don't know. I think if you're racing this seed, if you're not laughing by this point, you're crying.
We're doing both simultaneously.
Most likely. And there we see that same desert I pointed out about a minute or so ago. You know, we also saw a rogue scorpion there. I really think that's a good zone. I think I would, if it were me, I might try to camp out there a little bit and just take it slow and steady.
Scorpion's in a position where if they hit you, it's not going to hurt so much, but I think I saw earlier that they had sleep. Or am I confusing that with a different enemy? That's right, they have the sleep and hurt combination. That guy has been using repel, and oh look, there is Charlotte Castle once we get to that point.
Could be a while. Oh goodness. And
we got a couple of caves. Probably all the better at this point is, ooh, to tie that guy up to level 12. Let's see what we've got here.
There
3 power, 26 hit points, 2 magic points. There we go.
You've been hiding in level 12. But you can see even even with that big boost, that's still only 57 hit points at level 12. Not necessarily ideal.
I saw a sleep spell. Like there was another one that I might have missed.
I will say at 57 HP, though, that does buy you, in most cases, at least one hit and another chance to try to run away or even take on one of the enemies that's been giving them so much trouble to this point.
That guy has found Swamp Cave North and is trying to quickly sprint through it as BGT just soaking in the death at this point. Now out the other side, and not to Garenham as they were perhaps hoping. Swamp and yet another cave. This could be the Tablet Cave, it could be Garen's Grave.
Looks like we've got...
it is the Tablet Cave.
Erdrick's Cave.
One single chest, no enemy encounters. See if it's an essential item like the silver harp, or perhaps even something desired like air. Oh, well, there it is, the silver harp.
I hope you put a bet down on that one.
It's just I was just kind of picking something at random. Yeah, no, exactly.
And insert disclaimer here.
Bet with your head, not over it. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Their death for BGT, so the Tablet Cave is required as the Silver Harp is in there. And we know that the Staff of Rain Cave, to trade that harp in, is inside Tangential Castle, so next time to tie that guy's back there, that could be one of the shopping errands.
So now really it comes down to where is Erdrick's token? Is it going to be guarded by that red dragon in Hawksness, or are they going to have to search out that search spot on the overworld to claim it?
Tie-dye guy is now back into Swamp Cave South, and BGT with a reset?
Look like.
Perhaps the tie-dye guy going to take a look at the Guardian in the Swamp Cave to see how difficult that enemy is for a potential grind, or nope, he's just going to walk right past it, walk right past the princess, and is going to see what's in that other cave, and it is the Rainbow Drop Cave, also known as the Jerk Cave. So, armed with that bit of knowledge, the tie-dye guy going to continue to explore. And just opting to reset as opposed to dealing with what would be an inevitable death to try to save time.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Smashy, our tracker, pointing out that wherever Garenham might be located, that means that attached to it would necessarily, by process of elimination at this point, have to be Garen's grave.
That is correct. What is inside the grave is more so the question.
That's true. We've found most of our items at this point, so presumably they would not need to find that or dive it. And certainly, I would think one of the items outstanding is, of course, that death necklace, but at the current pace, I think that's probably out of the question entirely for this seed. But, of course, we have Erdrick's sword outstanding as well.
Yes, now the death necklace to which Archfield was chuckling about here. too early, noting the, yes, maximum of 30 hit points at level 11 for BGT, and that is, of course, with the strength agility build. It was only 31 hit points for the tie-dye guy at level 11, but level 12 got a huge 26 hit point boost. So that has made things a little bit easier, but the keyword being little, as still 57 hit points at level 12 is not ideal either. But the Death Necklace, when you find it and put on the Death Necklace, it is a cursed item, as indicated by its name, the Death Necklace. That guy gonna trade in for the Staff of Rain. Hey, Cobra, knowing in chat, don't let your child see can't form this kind of impression. Yes, congratulations to It's Too Early for entering the world of parenthood.
Yes, definitely congratulations. But for goodness sakes, everyone out there, don't let your children run seeds like this.
Please make sure to speedrun responsibly and randomize responsibly. Necklace, that's right. I was like, I know I was going somewhere with this. The Death Necklace, once you put it on, it's a cursed item, meaning that if you attempt to go back into Tangential Castle, the king will say that you are cursed and say, be gone with you, or something along those lines. And along with that, you will gain an additional 10 attack power, but at the cost of 25% of your maximum hit points. The Hurt More is able to be used on the tie-dye guy's side and is quickly jumping out to a little over 1,000 experience lead. Attack from the Red Dragon, but not the second one. GT back in coal, perhaps to utilize the inn. It looks like the difference here is that the tie-dye guy having that level 12 bonus of a lot of hit points has allowed him to be a bit more, I guess, carefree in terms of utilizing the Hurt Mores, withstanding attacks, things of that nature, whereas just having that minimal amount of hit points at level 11 has been a challenge. So BGT is still trying to get to that search spot, the 78 north and 43 west, and is trying to count it out.
Yeah, that level 12 HP boost for the tie-dye guy just really it enables you to take that first hit. And so often, up until that point, neither runner had been able to do so. As we see here, the Swamp Cave Spike Tile looks like a Stone Man.
There is a 24 hit point gain for Bent Glass Tube, and we see the Stone Man, yes, as the midpoint tile here.
Yeah, BGT has to be breathing a sigh of relief over that one, just that little bit of buffer.
A little bit easier to handle here, and now the tie-dye guy just looking to work on a grind on the Stone Man to perhaps get another level here, which is right now.
Ouch. Hoping for some more HP there, but didn't get it. although worth noting at this point now, magic points at 105.
And now a good time to let you know how the tracker is working on the bottom there, and thank you to Smashy for taking care of the tracking. But the statistics that you see, the red in the very early part of the game, well, that is meandering around and searching here as the datyedyeguy rescuing the princess. The red in the early part of the sea, that means it is subpar to start. The white means that you are making the progress and climb. The orange means you start to maybe consider thinking about going to the Dragon Lord. It's kind of borderline. And the green means, yeah, that stat's good to go. So with very little green and orange in there, only a little bit of a mix here. Neither of our runners quite in the position to get things going here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes at this point you're even starting to think about, okay, so what are my numbers when it comes to the Dragon Lord fight, but we're nowhere really near that range, even at levels 13 and 12. One never knows, though. All it takes is one level and a huge HP gain, and all of a sudden, now you can start thinking along those lines.
bentglasstube perhaps trying to go back to his marker.
Yeah, usually it's very helpful to have a waypoint of some kind, so that if you do arrive at what you think the location might be, you can go back just to that waypoint and count from there. But that can be a little bit troublesome too if that coordinates for that happen to be just one off in one direction or the other. It can be difficult counting at this range.
And considering those areas around the caves, bentglasstube was doing pretty much about as much digging as the digging game in A Link to the Past.
The search just becomes that much more difficult when you're running into these armored knights all the time.
I will have to put a hold on the digging game here, so I was thinking about busting out at least a little bit of the music, but nah, probably better not to. So the datyedyeguy looks to be exploring and grinding at the same time here, running low on resources at the moment, and there's a red dragon.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable strategy at this point. Still haven't laid eyes on Garenham. That's one of the possible places that Erdrick's sword could be, and we know that the grave, again, has to be attached also to Garenham, so that's a total of 8 chests that would need to be searched out. So still a lot of exploration to be done, and at some point you just kind of have to get in there and spend your resources as you can, and if you don't quite make it on that run, you just pick it up again on the next.
At this point, looking for Garenham and Garen's grave, it's a percentage play in that, well, we know, as our runners may not necessarily in their own individual searchings know, but we know that those 8 treasure chests are combined together, the 3 in Garenham and the 5 in Garen's grave, so that is about a 25% chance as far as the overall number of treasure chests in the game that Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game, may be located. Ooh, hurt more from Armored Knight once again.
The struggle continues.
It certainly does. So we're just a little over an hour in here, and the datyedyeguy with a little bit of an edge at the moment, having the best equipment money can buy. Both of our racers had acquired the Erdrick's armor from the town of Cole search spot. and they found those about 5 minutes apart from one another. The tie-dye guy has found the silver harp as well as the stones of sunlight. The harp was in the tablet cave, and the stones of sunlight was in the mountain cave. Mountain cave and then death warping back allowed the tie-dye guy to do that gold grind to acquire the flame sword, magic armor, and silver shield.
Yeah, BGT was the first to locate the mountain cave, but he was unceremoniously ejected by an armor knight in his first encounter, and he hasn't returned since. I would think that soon he'd be thinking about going back for a clear just to see what he can find there.
Perhaps looking to gain some levels along the way, as now just about 100 experience away from level 13. $11 to be exact, and now minus the 70, you're looking at 41. Target number is 4,125. Meanwhile, to get to level 14, the tie-dye guy is looking for the number of 5625 in terms of experience.
So the tie-dye guy here, using Gwaelin's Love to try to find the search spot.
Right in the area here, and the tie-dye guy trying to get away from the red dragon is unsuccessful.
And just
now both of our runners, yep.
Different time.
There's level 13 for BGT.
Will undoubtedly be displeased with that HP gain once again, or lack thereof, I should say.
56 and 59 hit points respectively for our runners at level 13. Now, to consider going after the Dragon Lord, you want a bare minimum of 97 hit points. And we want to thank those of you coming over to us and rating us from the main Randomania network, those of you who are watching the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer Weekly. Alongside Archfield Monk, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and this is one of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer 2018 Tournament Swiss round matches. This is the third Swiss round out of 5, and we have both of our runners here, bentglasstube and the tie-dye guy, looking for their first victory here.
There we go, the tie-dye guy finally landing on that search spot, and it is in fact Erdrick's token, so it's possible that they might just choose to ignore Hawksness and its Red Dragon Guardian at this point, at least until they're in a better position, should they have to use that as a grind.
And there is the Silver Harp for BGT. Metal Slime for the tie-dye guy. Nice 255 experience bonus in the works, as the Metal Slime has 3 hit points, but is very hard to hit. You'd have to be extremely strong to be able to guarantee to hit for at least 1 hit point. And they're also susceptible to running away.
There we go. So now the tie-dye guy that much closer to level 14, and probably be picking that up relatively soon. Target number is 5,625.
Really, they're prone to being shy and running away. That one was a little more brazen, and the tie-dye guy able to take it down, and is now under 300 experience away from level 14. And Bent Glass Tube quickly finding and exiting and re-entering the town of Breckenary, which, in this case, it just has its usual 6 gold in. And Centroid asking what the Swamp Cave boss was, it was the Stone Man. That guy did a little bit of a grind on it, and the traditional Dragon Breath for the Golem, and that is going to take out the tie-dye guy.
So now that Fairy Flute is looking maybe a little bit more useful. There are many golems in Charlotte Castle. That item, of course, can be used to put them to sleep, so if they have that powerful attack, sometimes grabbing the flute can be worth it.
Bent Glass Tube looking around, trying to get the remainder of the items here. At this point, the tie-dye guy can start to, if nothing else, go back to where the Rainbow Drop cave is, so that way you can get the Rainbow Drop and at some point at least consider or think about going into Charlotte Castle. And here comes level 14.
So that was an HP pickup of 25, I believe. So that'll go a long way toward boosting that total to a more acceptable level for level 14. So the tie-dye guy maxing out now at 84 HP, which is going to greatly increase the survivability as he continues to explore the map here. Now having found the token, the town of Garenham becomes less of a priority target. Though, of course, both of our racers still need to find Erdrick's sword. But there's a possibility that could be located in Charlotte Castle as well. So if they can find Garenham first and clear both that town of its chests as well as the Grave of Garen, then they'll have that much more information regarding Erdrick's sword, which is the best sword available.
So it adds 40 attack power to your base strength, and if you had put on the Fighter's Ring, then it adds another 2 to that. So, the sword with your Fighter's Ring adding 42 to your strength, and that'll give the total, in this case, on the tie-dye guy's side, having the Flame Sword that is 28 attack power, plus the 2 for the Fighter's Ring, plus the 69 strength. That's where the 99 attack power is coming from. But at this point, the tie-dye guy and Bent Glass Tube would be like the buzzing of flies to the Vigo the Carpathian that is the Dragon Lord. I know, Ghostbusters 2 reference. It's getting late early, folks. What can I say?
Oh, here we go. So the tie-dye guy is located Garenham.
A quick stay at the inn, but is locked behind the doorway to a lot of different chests. Of non-playable characters. So we got a dragon scale, fairy water.
That third chest has an NPC guardian, but she gets out of the way in time to find that it's some gold.
And we have the grave. The 3 chests up top here is the tie-dye guy heading that way. Then there are 2 more that are locked behind another door. Scorpion being annoying with hurt and sleep.
I'm a little surprised that the tie-dye guy chose to fight that one out with 105 MP. That's a whole pile of hurt mores.
So, empty chests. I believe that means there are a couple of herbs. Key was utilized to get into the cave. As yes, Chad is noting that it was about 4 minutes ago closing in on 5 minutes ago that the tie-dye guy did go up to level 14. bentglasstube working on trying to get up to 14 and seems to find a nice little spot here of rogue scorpions.
Yeah, this desert has some fruitful targets. You've got some rogue scorpions there, some wyverns, some warlocks, which are probably a little bit under what you'd like to see, but nevertheless they're safe targets. Unfortunately, I think there are also some red dragons that pop up from time to time in there, so it can be a good spot, but it's a little bit risky in that sense as well.
The defense power for bentglasstube right at 60, which is the same as the strength of the rogue scorpions. If bentglasstube was to cast the repel spell, then there would be no encounters with those rogue scorpions.
Yeah, repel usage can be kind of tricky. You do, of course, want to chase away those weaker monsters that you really don't want to spend the time fighting, but sometimes it can, I guess in a sense, price you out of some targets that you might otherwise want to be fighting as well.
And in this case, that increases the probability of running into more of the armored knights and red dragons, which our runners do not want.
Yeah, I think they'll have seen enough of red dragons and armored knights to last them quite a while after the completion of this seed.
Back to the mountain cave goes bentglasstube. And casting repel inside the cave, not necessarily going to work here, but able to get away from a golem. Only works on the overworld, as does the fairy water. And now we have the torch deep in the grave. So that means that I guess we get to play the pyramid guessing game, as one of the 7 treasure chests inside Charlotte Castle shall contain this is coming in, and I will.
Do you have a standard guess, or do you like to kind of mix it up a little bit?
I always mix it up, and I think 99% of the time, no matter what I pick, it is incorrect.
Well, the odds are against it, of course.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 7 shot here. So let's see. So we've got Amazing Toaster and Ouija both going with the bottom middle chest. The $100 is a reference, with me being the game show fanatic that I am, to the old X $1,000 pyramid game show, where the winner's circle had the 6 different amounts once you had gotten those particular clues correct. So we know them as increasing amounts from $50 all the way up to $300. So some reference it based off of that. So Centroid is going with the big 300 up top.
Well, you did call the Silver Harp earlier, so maybe tonight's your night.
I certainly hope so. And now here is the Stones of Sunlight for Bent Glass Tube. About 50 minutes after the Tie-Dye guys picked it up. NG going with the bottom right chest, the 150. Could also be in the vanilla Erdrick sword chest as well. Been popular, but hasn't really been run into in any of the seeds here.
Yeah, hopefully for their sake, based on everything else they've had to go through in this seed, if the Erdrick sword were in the vanilla location, that would just sort of feel cruel at that point.
Given how it's getting later here on the East Coast, if the vanilla sword is in, if Erdrick's sword is in its vanilla location, I think that's where the adult beverages start getting passed around.
I'm not sure that you have much choice at that point.
Oh. The tie-dye guy back into Hawk's Nest, perhaps looking to take out the red dragon to acquire that fairy flute, thinking that it may be helpful in Charlotte Castle dealing with those golems. Much paranoia in chat asking, what are we still looking for? Well, in Bent Glass Tube's case, quite a bit. We know what the Staff of Rain Cave is. That's just a matter of tidying up once going back to Tanagel Castle. But Bent Glass Tube is looking for Erdrick's Token, which is going to be the overworld spot, 78 north and 43 west. And both of our runners are looking for Erdrick's Sword, the best weapon in the game. And that is confirmed to be somewhere in Charlotte Castle. And here is level 15 for the tie-dye guy. And there, in fact, is the fairy flute.
So another decent HP gain there, pushing the tie-dye guy up to 102. But now, looking at those values, once we pick up Erdrick's Sword, it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do, if this just means immediately trying to get the rainbow drop and making a dive to look for it. But that agility score at 55 is still a little bit lower than is ideal.
Once the sword is found, that's going to add an additional 12 attack power, so you're looking at 124. That is on the low side.
Yeah, I think a Dragon Lord fight at 15 is out of the question here, but since that's the only object of importance left to locate for the tie-dye guy, we'll see if he decides to grind a little bit first, or whether or not he's going to go sword hunting.
Shall see, as Bent Glass Tube with about a 1200 experience deficit at this point, and with Metal Slime not exactly helping there, so I guess Bent Glass Tube is going to give the Red Dragon a try, as into Charlotte Castle goes the tie-dye guy. What I saw there, the hand axe on Bent Glass Tube's part. So the hand axe, the Erdrick's armor, and the small shield.
So it's interesting, the tie-dye guy has had 2 encounters so far on that first floor of Charlock Castle, but he opted to run from both of them. I would imagine he knows he still needs to pick up some, at least another level here in order to be viable. I can understand running from the blue dragons, but something like a werewolf seems like it would be a decent target to take out here.
I believe that the tie-dye guy realizes that even with all the best equipment at this point, that whatever enemy is encountered here in Charlock Castle is going to punch them and punch them pretty hard. And especially given the low hit points that both of our runners have, trying to get away looks to be the best way to go, just for self-preservation, to try to get down to that 7th basement of Charlock to even get a venture as to whether the sword is there or whether it's in its vanilla location. And the red dragon taking bentglasstube out once again, this time circa or via Hawksness.
Another possibility could be the tie-dye guy maybe thinking if he does get to the bottom floor, there is of course that spike tile to explore as well, and it could be a more favorable opponent than either the Stone Man or the Red Dragon from Hawksness. So if he can get there with a lot of his MP, he could possibly, if he finds an Axe Knight perhaps, that would be a pretty good spot to burn off that MP and perhaps pick up most, if not all, of that next level.
Glasstube trying to find ways to go up a level here, and perhaps the hit point's a little too low at 28, not opting to heal, and another death, this time to the Armored Knight. The tie-dye guy trying to get away from this Armored Knight. Quite able to do so. And keeps getting punched and the occasional hurt more.
I want to say with this agility around 55, I think is about only roughly about a third of the time you're going to run away from that Armor Knight, but even with those statistics, that was still a fair few attempts trying to get away there before he was finally successful.
And interestingly enough, the tie-dye guy using an herb, I can't imagine that the tie-dye guy is thinking about going for the Dragon Lord at this point. Have happened.
Yeah, it's interesting. Having already used some Healmores, I mean, it's out of the question generally in the first place, I think. But even if he were going to make a run at it, he would need his full MP if he were going to have any shot at all. And so I think that's correct.
Dataplet asking in chat, I take it we know with 100% certainty that the sword is in Charlock. That is correct. All of the other treasure chests have been opened outside, so it is one of the 7 chests here in Charlock, and there's just a matter of a moment here if you want to get your pyramid guessing game in, as the Looks like we are too late here. So the 150 is going to be gold. And then we've got the wings. This was 250, and the magic key in the bottom left. The herb in the middle left.
Oh, goodness.
And the 250. You're right. I guess it is my night here.
Well done. That was getting scary, though. Oh my goodness. The way the seed is going, one could easily just sort of see that sword being in the vanilla chest, but fortunately for both runners, I guess as the adage goes, it's always the last place you check. In this place, at least, it was the penultimate place you checked.
Back in the Rimmildar Inn is bentglasstube, and now purchasing a large shield. A bit of an upgrade. Meanwhile, looking at the stats, and datyedyeguy perhaps going to head on over and see what the mini-boss enemy is, and if it happens to be an Axe Knight, then why not grind on it, try to get up to level 16.
Yeah, that actually works out
and see what gains
well,
come from there.
if it's the case.
Now, in Garenham is bentglasstube, and finally putting on the Scale of the Dragon. Amazing Toaster noting in chat that datyedyeguy has switched to grind mode, realizing that even with Erdrick's sword, the power not quite where it needs to be.
Yeah, it's just not there.
Yeah, a lot of things that are... You'd have to get things rolling right and rolling your way in order to be victorious against the Dragon Lord with these numbers. The resources are, this is the exploration and knowledge dive.
Yeah, it's definitely a fact-finding mission we're going to see shortly here, hopefully. What the mini-boss will be.
That's an armored knight.
Not optimal, but I imagine he'll burn off the rest of his MP here and pick up the experience that he can.
Yeah, no ideal grind spot of the 3 spike tiles. I mean, considering that you have the Red Dragon and Hawk's Nest and how problematic they've been throughout the seed, you've got the Armored Knight and their powerful attacks as well as their casting of Hurt More. And in the Swamp Cave, you have the Stone Man. So I don't think anything particularly nasty. It's just another one of those things that hits you pretty hard.
Yeah, I think neither the Red Dragon or the Stone Man has any special skills. At least they just have that physical attack. So part of the problem, at least until the last couple of levels, was the HP just wasn't there to try to initiate any kind of a grind against either of those foes.
Smashy asking, where did the Death Necklace end up being? It was in the middle. Yeah, it was midway down into the grave. Not all the way down, but it was not in the upper 3 chests either. As I say that, bentglasstube is not too far away from looking to acquire said Death Necklace, although, again, the utilization of it in this seed, not very likely. Level 15 for BGT. More power.
Kind of slow rolled that HP gain there, just waiting, probably crossing his fingers, maybe trying to find as much good luck as he could before he looked at that HP gain.
And the tie-dye guy using up all the resources and is going to death warp back to the castle. It's 468 experience away from level 16. Bring, will that be enough to put the tie-dye guy over the top? Looking for agility, looking for hit points, and looking for strength. The magic points look to be good already. 118 maximum MP. You're looking at 14 castings of Heal More. That's theoretically 16 attacks with an attack range of 6 to 12, so averaging 9. 9 times 16 is less than 165.
Yeah, so very close. With that agility we did see, even though that was a very productive dive for the tie-dye guy, picking up the sword and finding that spike tile, still difficult at times running away from, say for instance, the armored knights.
As well as the, well, a lot of enemies, but as well as the red dragons as well. Given, yeah, an agility of 55, but only 58 for bentglasstube. That's, yeah, with both at level 15, but let's see what 16 brings. 8 power, 2 response speed, 6 hit points, 8 magic points, and the spell of outside.
So again here, not optimal, but with that that much MP and 132 attack power, it seems feasible. It's just a matter of getting down there.
You're looking at 15 heal mores, which is 17 attacks, and the attack range is now 8 to 16, so that is an average of 12. Times the 17 attacks would be 204, so that looks mathematically to be go time, but again, with that lower defense, challenge. I think most people would go for it. I'd probably reluctantly go for it in a racing situation, but then again, that's why I commentate, because I certainly can make very incorrect decisions from being the on-screen analyst here.
I'm no exception to that myself. I think I'm in agreement with you, though. I think this would be the time to go. Certainly, I would think you're kind of looking at the clock and saying, okay, we're getting along here. If you feel even the slightest bit behind, and I know that many runners kind of feel behind all the time, it's just kind of the default mode, but I think it's definitely time to go here. And if you know it, if you get interrupted and something really unfortunate happens with one of those encounters it's difficult to run away from, then you just pick up and go again.
And chat pretty much all noting the same mindset that the Dragonlord 2 is definitely beatable at this level. The question is, as Yuno's putting it here, getting down there with 108 hit points in the pool and 57 agility to run. If nothing else, this will allow for the possibility of grinding up to 17 if need be, but the drawback to that is the target number. Now you're starting to get into some pretty hefty experience, 12,000 to the number. So you'd be looking at about 2,208 experience if you're the tie-dye guy.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he's made it down there once already. So you go again, and if the actual dive itself goes badly, and you end up with not as much MP as you need to be successful, then you just go ahead and you take some more armored knights and see where it goes.
Bentglasstube, having now explored Garen's grave as well as the mountain cave, has to be going, man, what haven't I checked yet? Where is everything that I need? And in this case, we know it's the token of counting out the spots, which bentglasstube did take a good amount of time attempting to acquire Erdrick's token by the count and not having to rescue the princess. A couple of herbs is the tie-dye guy, and I noticed in the inventory down to one magic key just in case, although I don't think that there's anything else that's going to be utilized.
Seems unlikely. Only one more floor to go. He's maintained all of his magic points, of course with the exception of that cast of Radiant. So things are looking pretty good so far.
Able to get away from that armored knight, and now the 7th and final floor of Sharlock. An amazing toaster noting in chat that with the breakpoint of 120 MP, that the tie-dye guy could theoretically use a standard heal spell.
And that's true. It's basically an extra herb there.
Now we have the Armored Knight. Meanwhile, the Red Dragon in Hawk's Nest is giving trouble to bentglasstube. And there is the Armored Knight. Use an herb here. Now here comes the Dragon Lord battle on the tie-dye guy's side. Ooh, and there is the Fairy Flute for bentglasstube, who now realizes that the overworld item is Erdrick's token. Now, here we go. No back attack. 11 to start off with. Now, the Dragon Lord, again, can have anywhere between 150 and 165 hit points. Aim to make 25. The range is between 8 and 16. So, a couple of nice rolls thus far. Yeah, another 14.
Well so far. This looks pretty good.
14s in a row. Wow. So this, pending a mismenuing item, looks to be a free fight at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fourth 14 in a row is up to 67. Another 11, 78. Teens and 11 seem to be the story of the rolling so far. Single digit 8. And a 13, so now we're getting some variety in at 110. They're 13 for 123. For 131. Now getting some low rolls on the back end here, so a little on the interesting side. There's another 11 to make 150. So this next attack last, and it is. That guy attacking for 164 had gotten to 150, and it turned out to be enough there. And get out your GGs in chat, as the tie-dye guy is going to get his first win in the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 25 seconds.
And I think, all things considered, as difficult as that seed was, that's a pretty good time of completion, given all of the obstacles that they had to face really the entire way through.
Certainly, and has rescued the princess, but does not have outside, as that's going to come at level 16. The maximum level in which all the spells will be guaranteed to have been learned. And for bentglasstube, that is just a mere 588 experience away. We'll see in a little bit here if the tie-dye guy will join us for a post-race interview. In the meanwhile, see, it was brought up by Bayou Billy fan a little bit ago here. Make sure to check out the Discord for Dragon Warrior Randomizer, so you can participate in some off-scheduled races that are not part of the tournament here, get some tips and tricks to improve your skills, or even post up some rather generous or rather nasty seeds, just to mention a few things here. And you can also access the downloading of the randomizer that is available on the link there, and also information on the tournament, as tomorrow I believe will conclude the third round matchups. Yes, a rescheduling of the last of our 2-0 matchups here. It's going to be actually tomorrow morning at 9:30. That's 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And that is going to be, I would imagine, on the main Randomania network. It'll be Azrael Ravenheart taking on JJ Schmidt 77. Battle of 2-0s. It looks like we have the tie-dye guy in the green room at the moment, so he can certainly hop on in and join us here. Tube now heading on through. And is going to head to the back of Tanagel Castle to acquire the Staff of Rain. Tie-dye guy joining us here in chat. Congratulations and GG on getting your first win here in the tournament as far as the Swiss stages go.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was a tough seed. Goodness, that start was crazy.
You had to think, well, okay, level 2, got sleep, heal more, and hurt more. You figure, all right, off to the races. But as we have seen on so many occasions, the brakes were pumped rather quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, the low HP and basically a swamp seed, but sure did seem like it was a swamp seed. That was just you couldn't go anywhere to level up. You couldn't do anything. I'm so lucky I found what cave was that? The mountain cave there when I did, so I could get that gold grind and get some equipment to just stay alive.
That did prove to be an early advantage for you, just being able to max out the gold grind and then head on over to the shopping mall of Cantlin, and next thing you know, you've got a flame sword, a magic armor, and the silver shield, and that made getting through the enemies a little bit easier. Keyword being a little bit, as there were two enemies that cared not for all of your fancy equipment, and they were the Armored Knight and the Red Dragon.
Yeah, I was scared of them till about level 12 or 13, I think. And then there was the Red Dragon was still pretty mean with that 50, 60 HP. That was rough.
It looks like as though bentglasstube actually had gone with a strength agility build, so the hit points were even fewer and further between. I want to say I think it was at level 8, there was only 30 max hit points.
Oh my goodness.
So that was where the disparity started to kind of spread out a little bit, and even now here at level 15, bentglasstube only with a maximum of 94 hit points. So it's one of those where the hit points are low and the agility is even lower, as it looks like the difference, at least at 15, is 58 agility as opposed to your 57 at level 16. That's sometimes how these seeds are rolled. It's sometimes you... Okay, Smashy's going to take a look here. In case you decided to go to 17, looks as though the difference... Oh, wow. Well, the strength would have jumped up to 102 for you. It would have bumped up the attack power to 144. The agility would have been at 66.
Yeah, it would have been pretty straightforward then, definitely. I was thinking the Dragonlord fight might have still been possible on 15, but I think that would have been pushing my luck. I was debating on the initial dive going for the sword and still trying to fight the Dragonlord, but with the MP I had to burn from running away, or not running away, from those Armored Knights, it didn't turn out. But I found the one decent grind spot. Jeez, yeah, the Stoneman and I forgot what was in Hawksnest. I think that was a Red Dragon.
Yeah, that was
yes.
a Red Dragon.
Now getting to level 16 is bentglasstube, and finally acquiring that outside spell. Amazing how the complaints always come in, oh, these late heal mores, or late heal spells, in the teen levels, and then finally you get a nice early healing spell seed, and, well, something that you tend to use more than you realize in the outside spell. Be the issue here, and now utilizing Gwaylin's Love is one spot over, and now has acquired Erdrick's token is bentglasstube.
Jerkers is too lazy to walk out 2 steps to get it himself.
The challenge was early on. bentglasstube had attempted to, on at least 2 or 3 different occasions, to count out the coordinates.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, with so many big baddies in the way, I would have rage quit if that was required, I think.
bentglasstube actually had gotten right to the area, but was maybe 1, I think, to the north and 1 east of where he needed to be, and was digging around for a little while. I'd made the analogy almost like the digging game in Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Yeah, you know the one. It's kind of what it felt like for a little while, but and then running into the armored knights and running into the red dragons, and at that point only having 30, 40 hit points max, it was just pretty much a quick trip back to the castle. I mean, I'm taking a look here, comparing and contrasting. I actually did something I've been trying to do along the way here is keeping track of the deaths, essentially a COD counter. And for yourself here, there were 27 deaths, but BGT so far at 35 and counting.
Oof.
Yeah, just those death warps back and things like that. You don't know how much they're going to affect the seed, and it's something that I hadn't really figured out how to quantify along with all the other statistics that I try to keep track of along the way. And yeah, that one being a little rough and tough.
Yeah, and the long walks to get anywhere and through the swamp, so before you find the armor, it's just painful. And yeah, no good. Humor's no good when you only have 30 HP. So it was just, oof.
It defeats the purpose. The other difference was you had mentioned that you had done an early gold grind. It doesn't look as though bentglasstube had done a gold grind really at any point, as at the moment, well, rocking Erdrick's armor, but only having a large shield and weapon-wise only a hand axe.
Did he ever find the mountain cave, or did he ever like have an opportunity for that?
He actually got into the mountain
Yeah.
cave before you had, but unfortunately his first fight was against an armored knight. And I kicked him out, and he didn't go back for quite a while.
Like close to an hour. Now is working on a Star Wyvern, and perhaps trying to grind up to 17, or maybe just taking out some enemies along the way, as going in and out of Rimmildar almost as quickly as if it were Breckenary. And there's Garenham going in and out of that almost as quickly as Breckenary.
Has he explored all the caves yet? Like, does he know the sword is in Charlotte Castle, or?
Well, I mean, all of the items, as I see here, yeah, it's a fully lit bingo board, for lack of a better term, for bentglasstube. I mean, having acquired the staff, you know, I mean, it currently has the rainbow drop, has the flute, got the princess, all the spells, has the death necklace, although, yeah, it's not getting used this seed.
Yeah, that would be a lot of grinding to use that death necklace.
Oh golly, no. No. But it looks as though bentglasstube is going to try to get to level 17, as the stats, well, just the same 90 strength, a little bit more agility, 61 versus the 57 that you had, but only 100 max hit points compared to your 108. And the tie-dye guy, okay, Smashy, it looks like we have some Smashy science here, as Smashy utilizing the tracker, trying to see what level you would grind up to utilize the death necklace. And it looks like, I see 21, 22 it looks like would be the safe number, so...
Yeah, I think there were a couple more 1 HP gains in there somewhere.
And there were a lot of those. 25,500 as opposed to the, you know, somewhere around the 10,000 mark, so... yeah, why not just grind another 150% of what you'd already done over the course of the seed?
We all got a few
Not so
hours,
much.
right?
I can at least speak for myself in saying nope. I have a date with a pillow. It's long overdue.
Speaking of which, I think I'm gonna bow out. Thank you, everyone, for running this, and Randomania for showing it and everything. I hope it was entertaining for everyone.
It definitely had its moments, as yes, there were a few disbelief chuckles at a couple of those levels midway through, around 9 or 10, that gave 1 hit point gains each time around.
So yeah, thanks for stopping in for the interview with us, and again, congratulations on picking up that win, and good luck to you in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Do the same to Tie-Dye Guy. So now to Tie-Dye Guy going to 1 and 2, and will be among the runners there. So coming up for the 4th round, this is something of good to note here as I'm taking a look at it here. So with our 42 competitors and obviously an uneven amount, there are going to be a couple of crossover matchups as 4 out of the 5 3-0 racers will go against one another, and the 5th will take on one of the 2-1 competitors. And then there will be 7 matchups of 2-1 racers going against one another, looking to get an automatic berth into the bracket stage. And then one of those 2-1 runners will take on somebody who is 1 and 2. And then, of course, there will be 6 1 and 2 matchups, and then it looks as though 0 and 3. There may be a one of those 0 and 3s will take on a 1 and 2 competitor. Among whom those will be here, as it looks like there are now. We now have the 5 set who have their work cut out for them and then some. Mashy noting in chat, the story of this seed, Empty Eye loves it. Yes, there were a lot of very, very minimal gains in terms of the various statistics, most notably the hit points and agility. Credit to bentglasstube for continuing through here.
Yeah, absolutely.
As especially given how frustrating the seed can be, it would be very easy at this point, especially crossing the 2-hour mark, to just throw in the towel or tap out or whatever the case may be. But now bentglasstube is continuing to push forward.
Yeah, I think it's entirely justifiable to close up shop at this point, but good for him finishing this one out. I just, again, can't really imagine how frustrating it must have been, just so many deaths in the beginning, even though it started off with a lot of promise.
Yeah, it's generally how these things tend to go, and that's why even with something that swift, I try not to say, oh, looks like this is going to be a sub-hour seed, because 99.9% of the time, it's not.
Yeah, there's a wrench out there that's already been thrown, and you're just waiting for it to get into the works.
Absolutely. So now back with resources is bentglasstube, and is going to take on and out another red dragon here, and that should put the total up to level 17, and we'll see what gains are going to be coming from that. But not at this time.
Oh, and that's very rough. Whenever you start a grind and you just get taken out like that, when you have full, close to full magic points, that can be very disheartening.
Perhaps thinking that all that was needed was one more attack, so going for it with 25 hit points, and that was fewer than what the red dragon was looking to attack for. I would imagine bentglasstube looking to head on back. Well, here's a red dragon here.
Yeah, caught an early one.
You can see attacking for 41. Oh, and 34 as well, and not going to make the same mistake twice, and going to heal up from that 25.
Yeah, good call there.
And here comes level 17.
Again, choosing to slow roll this HP gain. Maybe
Hit
looking...
the press your luck board, big bucks, no whammies, or big hit points and no whammies. And it looks like a little bit of a whammy with 2 hit points and 7 magic points. Again, bentglasstube still has to find Erdrick's sword. So once that is done, that attack power that's currently at 119 is going to leap up to 144.
Yeah, so that'll definitely be enough, and it's just a matter now of tracking the sword down and getting the job done.
Bentglasstube putting through the calculations at this point. Maybe contemplating, all right, do I level here? Do I just make the dive and try to get the sword and see if I've got it going from there? There are so many decisions that have to be made when it comes to running any kind of a race seed at this point. Oh, and Red Dragon attacking for exactly 30, and that is another death for BGT. Number 37. Where's Dante from Clerks when you need him? And now a blue dragon, just to shake things up a little bit. And I wonder if BGT is going to fight on the way down here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't quite sure what his decision might be. It's taking on that blue dragon, and it looks like he's going to take on this armor knight as well. So perhaps feels this is maybe slightly more feasible than running. So depending on the circumstances, that can work out sometimes. He does have a lot of MP. It's not quite feasible to fight one's way down through Charlock, knowing what we know about the enemy zones there, but at least for the moment on the overworld, making that decision.
You figure at this point it's more than likely going to be 2 separate dives into Charlock Castle. The first is going to be to get to the treasury and try to acquire the Erdrick sword. Once that sword is acquired, then you can reassess the stats and go, all right, I think it's go time here. Especially given the strength.
Right. He does have that slight edge in that the run percentages will be a little bit higher, maybe about 5 to 10% on average against the various enemies that occupy Charlock, given that increased agility versus when we saw the datyedyeguy make his run.
And there are those who run with the strength agility build for that reason, thinking that there's that extra defensive advantage. And generally there is. It's just, at this point, it looks as though it's negated by the datyedyeguys grinding up with the gold grind glitch to acquire the silver shield versus the large shield that bentglasstube has. It's a difference of 10 defense points.
Yeah, so we see here
so,
BGT has opted to head back to Hawksness, so it looks like he's going to try to grab one more level before making his approach.
Nice, excellent move, critical hit there. To get to level 18 is going to be 14,250 experience. So at this point, you're looking at 1,170 experience, which...
Yeah, with Red Dragons.
Red Dragons, yeah.
Yeah, that's only 5, so I can get there reasonably quickly.
4.
Should be able to do it on this pass, given he has 125 magic points, provided everything goes according to plan.
Meanwhile, taking a look at the remainder of the lineup here, looks like once we conclude things here, I believe we're going to take you over to the main Randomania page as one of the Legend of Zelda Randomizer Pentaforce tournament matchups are going on. Chess Jerk against RC Drone. And looking at the calendar for tomorrow, well, we did mention the 9:30 a.m. matchup. That's right, just a mere 10 hours from now is going to be the last of the third round matchups between Azrael Ravenheart and JJ Schmidt, 77. And that will determine the last of the, who will be 3-0 and who will be 2-1 going into there. Also, it looks as though tomorrow afternoon, a couple of interesting additions here to the Randomania lineup. On the main Randomania network at 3 o'clock Eastern, it is going to be the Final Fantasy IV Lunarian Shuffle Showcase, presented by, I believe that's Il Crowley. And then I believe on the Randomania 2, although not yet confirmed, will be the Pokemon Crystal Randomizer Cinco Bingo Weekly Race. And that'll be between Easton 8, Horse, Gamer, and Athena.
So BGT picking up his level there. It's a 4-4-4 and 2. Probably not quite what he was looking for.
Exactly what was hoped for, and up to NG making a very noted point here in chat, saying, I wonder if BGT is looking at his stats and forgetting to factor in that he does not yet have Erdrick's Sword. So looking at the 123 attack power.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely a possibility. And we'll be hopefully asking him about that after the race is over.
Difference between the hand axe versus Erdrick's Sword, it's a 25 attack point differential. So once he acquires Erdrick's Sword, you're looking at an attack power of 148.
And at that point, your damage range is 12 to 24, so on average, maybe about 8 hits certainly has the MP to cover that. So, yeah, we'll have to see what the thought process it was here.
Given that it looks as though bentglasstube is looking to potentially go to level 19, that I think up to NG's theory may be very plausibly correct, and that he's not considering, well, maybe perhaps checking the status again, but nope, gonna keep on going here. So the next target number is going to be 16,500 experience. That is 35 from now.
So that's about 7 red dragons, I believe. To get out the adding machine and crank it up, I think.
That is correct. It's a little bit easier in terms of the math here. So now it's just 1,300. Yeah, easy for me to say, apparently. 1,380.
There we go.
And we are restreamer noting thinks he just wants to hack the Dragon Lord up with an axe.
That'd be a very swag move, I think.
At this point, you know that that you're the runner-up here, so maybe perhaps trying to have a little bit of fun, bring a little entertainment to the crowd.
Yeah, I can see it. Getting kind of low on MP there, so maybe decided to take a risk. He's going to fill back up by heading back to Tanager and probably off to Hawksness again.
And some more smashy science here. What level does BGT get to datyedyegui's attack power? And up to level 20, using the hand axe to get to the same attack power that the datyedyeguy did have. Yeah, we've got spoilers here. Now, hopefully, for BGT's sake, that he realizes, oh yeah, I only have the hand axe. I should probably go get Erdrick's sword and add that additional 25 attack power to my total. I wonder if bentglasstube just attempting to maybe make the trek down and try to get to 19 along the way, or
that's a definite possibility too. Although now
looks like having doubled back and
sticking around here in the desert a little bit. Only has less than 500 to go, and now with that Rogue Scorpion a little bit under 400, so possibly opting not to head all the way back to Hawksness. We'll see.
The other thing, if you've played a seed for this long and just have so much that's rattling through your brain at the same time, it could very well be possible that bentglasstube thinks, yeah, I got the sword at some point. I've got it here, but for some reason my strength is so low that I'm...
Yeah, if that's the case, it's actually really easy to do. I know I've done it a couple times. You just, if it's a very lengthy seed, it's almost like you start to forget what happened a couple hours ago or even an hour ago, and everything kind of starts to run together a little bit. So it'd be completely understandable if that were the case.
The same token, being just 216 experience away from level 19.
I think here after topping off, we'll see an approach to Charlock. Yeah, it's on his way in now.
Is this going to be a sword extraction dive, or is this a we're going to just go and hack up the Dragon Lord with the hand axe? As I said, I would certainly hope that the sword extraction will occur, as just with the 123 attack power, you're looking at a range of 5 to 11 on the Dragon Lord. So that's an average of 8. But with 135, you're at 16 heal mores, so 18 times 8, 144. Maybe with a potential double, you might be able to sneak it in there, but it is pretty close.
Yeah, and we do know that he's still going to continue to struggle at times to run, so And now we did see datyedyeguy, despite that, have a relatively smooth second run after that sword extraction. So hopefully, for bentglasstube's sake, he'll have a similar experience on his way down.
Also impressive is that bentglasstube is navigating through Charlotte Castle's basements in the dark. No torch, no radiant. Just walking in the dark.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job here. It can be done if you've played a lot and practiced a lot. Definitely doable, and it never hurts to have a map lying around somewhere too. Follow those bonks.
Every little bit helps. You know, down until bonk, left until bonk, up until bonk, stairs, right stairs, referring to the 5th and 6th basements of Charlock.
Yep, by far the easiest to navigate without the aid of light. Unlike that second floor, which can be much less simple. Or I guess I should say third floor if you're including the top lit floor, but the second dark floor certainly can be a menace.
Now bentglasstube freezing here, contemplating what to do, not wanting to use any more heal mores necessarily, but opts to go with a hurt more. And while that does take out the armored knight, that also eliminates a heal more. So now just 13 heal mores.
Yeah, so it's possible he's conceded a Dragon Lord attempt on this particular run, as he's going to pick up level 19 here.
And here comes the level. 5 power, 9 response speed. Five hit points and 3 magic points. More spell by the armored knight. Now having trouble getting away from a stone man.
That's relatively uncommon. Here at 84 agilities, just about a coin flip chance, a little less than a coin flip chance to run on any given attempt from an armored knight. So the agility picking up a little bit might help if he's unable to get the job done in this die, which is looking increasingly likely. Although, I don't know. He'll be picking up the sword, hopefully, from the treasury, so we'll see what happens. But in any event, any future exploration of Charlock should go a little bit easier.
Yep, making a beeline for the treasury, except some stone men getting into the path. And first chest, there it is. Erdrick's sword. GT not even worrying about the rest of them.
Yeah, immediate about face and head out of the treasury. Got what he came for.
And you can see there the attack power boosting up to 153.
Yikes.
Up to NG, well, noting can't do a gold. Has any thought of doing a gold grind to acquire the silver shield? Make things a little bit easier, but is opting not to instead. It's probably going to replenish the hit points and magic points and head on down and give it a go.
I'll say this, at hitting from 13 to 26 on that attack range, this attack power will probably be at at the very least possibly some consolation as a as the Dragon Lord doesn't really stand much chance.
You have to figure with an attack power of 153, the attack range on Dragon Lord 2 is 13 to 26. So that's an average of about 19 and a half.
So probably only about 8 hits.
7, maybe 8
Yeah,
hits will take it out. And we create an MP that is 17 heal mores. So, yeah.
Yeah, at this point his options are just wide open. He can use a little bit of that MP on the way down if he needs to. He has to know his attack power is through the roof for the fight, so I would imagine that this dive will do it.
So as far as the non-forfeiting margin of victory, looks like already closing in on the second longest, as that was about 30, actually that has been eclipsed, the 36 minutes and 42 seconds. Only differentiation that was a little bit longer was in the second round, the Game Boy against WMD 88 match, Game Boy F9 and WMD 88. The margin of victory there was just under 56 minutes. And credit to WMD 88 for being a trooper and then some as far as some of the difficult draws.
Oh goodness, yes.
Yeah, I mean, starting off and, oh hey, welcome to the tournament. You get to take on Mr. Holmes, the 2016 champion.
Oh, and you lost to Mr. Holmes, now you get to take on Game Boy F9, who was the also a previous tournament champion.
The defending champion, in fact, in Game Boy F9. And then, as if that wasn't troublesome enough, then this current round, oh hey, you get the extremely formidable Jake Hoper.
Yeah, so sometimes you just get hit by the deck, so to speak, and that's certainly been the case for him this tournament. To his credit, he's been good. You know, it's just sometimes your opposition is better.
Certainly. If for some reason this goes another 11 minutes, then I don't think that that is going to necessarily be eclipsed. Be a distinction in which to have as well. Make sure to give both of our runners a follow. bentglasstube looking to finish things up here with the seed, and datyedyeguy getting his first win here in the tournament a little bit earlier. And also the folks behind the scenes here. Special thanks to datyedyeguy, who came in at the last minute to help us bring this to you here on Randomania 2, as well as Smashy, who was taking care of the tracking for the seed, and also give myself, Ferran Burgundy, as well as Archfield Monk a follow as well. It is certainly greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, and I second that. Thanks so much, datyedyeguy and Smashy. datyedyeguy basically rescued the broadcast kind of at the 11th hour there, coming up on time for the race, and he was able to restream for us, so thank you so much for that.
Now here we are in the 7th basement of Sharlock.
He's made it with
just having
every last bit of his MP too. The Stonemen have been unusually stubborn in terms of trying to run away from them.
Theoretically, BGT could use a sleep spell on one, and that would still leave him with 17 heal mores.
17.
136 MP for 17 heal mores. Point totals were a little higher. I'd almost say just for swag to use the death necklace, but here it's definitely not a plausible usage.
Yeah, here we saw with the peek ahead, it would even be quite a while longer before he'd be able to do that. But yeah, I could absolutely see that if the HP were right.
Taking out the Guardian Armored Knight. And bentglasstube gonna try to walk and heal a little bit. At this point, given what's left, I would say that you can safely burn a heal more and still be more than fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking on average 8 attacks. Actually, just for curiosity and kicks and giggles here, let's say even if it's the worst luck ever and bentglasstube gets the lowest roll for each attack of 13.
That's still what, approximately 13 attacks?
12 attacks.
Even if that were the case, he has enough MP to cover it.
12 attacks, even with the minimum, so this is...
Yeah, we talk about free fights, but this is this is about the freest of free.
Back attack. An awful lot of thinking and calculating here. NG looking for the early YOLO hurt more strats.
The fireworks.
Oh, there's a max 26 to get things started. So already up to 40 after 2 attacks.
Hope he closes it out with nothing fewer than 20.
Looking for that high side of the 20 to 26. High roll of a 25. $18. Slightly below the midway point. There's a 16. and hits it for 23, and with 11 heal mores to spare, bentglasstube is going to take it here. Out your GGs in chat, as bentglasstube is going to finish here with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 38 seconds. Minutes and 13 seconds difference. And there is the sound of the trumpet and the victor here. And I see Retro Command looking for the brackets. Well, the brackets have yet to be determined. We still have 2 more Swiss rounds to go over the course of the next, I believe, 3 weeks. As after the conclusion of tomorrow morning's Azriel Ravenheart and JJ Schmidt 77 matchup, at some point tomorrow there will be the randomization and the settings of the round 4 matchups, and then there is still some discussion as far as round 5. I believe it is going to be spread out over the course of 2 weeks to be able to handle the Labor Day holiday weekend that'll be going on in North America in the first weekend in September. To answer your question as far as when Nest Cardinality's next game is, as far as the tournament matchup, well, that won't be determined until after tomorrow, once Nest Cardinality, as well as all the rest of our runners, find out who their next opponent is going to be, and then they can collaborate and schedule accordingly as to when that will be. BGT noting to us that declining an interview because of required sleep, and I wholeheartedly agree with that message. And Sparkover noting in chat, as far as when is that next game? Soon. That's that's also when then will be now for those fans of Spaceballs. So I believe that is going to wrap things up here. Yeah, so we have one more race tomorrow, and BGT falling to 0-3, and certainly has an uphill battle to pretty much have to run the table to get into the bracket stage. And we will see how that goes along here as the tournament rolls on here among the Randomania networks. So make sure to give the runners a follow, as well as our restreamer and tracker and us here on commentary. For datyedyeguy, Smashy, as well as bentglasstube, datyedyeguy, and Archfield Monk, I'm Ferran Burgundy, saying until next time, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. So long, everyone.